Good evening, everyone. Thank you for rising for the prayer. This is the City Council meeting of December 2nd. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. All please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Sir? Could the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Martin.
Here.
Counsel Mercia.
Here.
Counsel Milanazzo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Counsel Kennedy.
Here.
It's 9 present.
Thank you. The chair would like to, we have two, like to recognize two members of the council tonight for moments of silence. Council Mercy and then Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for John F. Jack O'Brien. Jack was a graduate of the class of 1957 from Lowell High School. He attended Salem State College, earning a bachelor's degree in education in 1961. Continuing his education at Salem State, he earned a master's degree in education in 1967. Jack began his career as a teacher at Fitchburg High School from 61 to 63. In 1964, he became a teacher at Lowell High School, where he would remain and excel for the duration of his career. Jack became a headmaster at Lowell High School in 1967. In 1992, he was promoted to master and remained so until his retirement in 1994. After retirement, he became a staff representative for the United Teachers of Lowell, where he currently held a position. Jack was a distinguished educator, and his legacy will continue for many years to come. Jack leaves behind his wife, Linda, and his stepdaughter, Christine. Jack was an outstanding leader and friend. We offer our sympathies to his family, relatives, and his many friends. He will be truly missed. And I have a second, if you don't mind. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Armin J. Momblo. He was the beloved husband and childhood sweetheart of Rita Momblo, with whom he spent 68 loving years of marriage with. Mr. Momblo proudly served in the United States Navy during World War II and the Korean War. He prided himself with having been awarded honorable discharges for each service. Armin entered into the automotive service and repair industry and gasoline retail in the early 1950s. In 1960, he and his brother Leonard founded the Lowell Automatic Transmission Company, where he was owner-operator for 53 years, and his business is still operating on Chelmsford Street to this day, operated by two of his sons, Roger and Dennis. Armin was extremely proud of his family, his country, and the time he served in the Navy. His most proud possession was the American flag. He was also a proud VFW member of Lowell Post 662. In addition to his beloved wife, Rita, Armin is survived by his 4 children, Roger, Carol, Ron, and Dennis, and his 11 grandchildren. Armin was always smiling and had a great sense of humor, even laughing at my many jokes at the VFW hall. He was a great person whom everybody loved. We offer our condolences to his family, relatives, and many friends. He will be truly missed. Thank you for letting me honor these two people.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I, too, wanted to honor the memory of Jack O'Brien. Thank you, Councilor Mercia, for bringing up his name and giving the facts on his life. But I knew Jack as the former headmaster of Lowell High School. He was a colleague and he was a friend. Jack outwardly had somewhat of a gruff exterior, if you knew him, but inwardly he was a gentle and caring person. He was a true teacher at all times. What was important to Jack was fairness, that everyone should be treated with respect, both teachers, students, and parents. He cared for the needs of everyone and in my eyes, he was a true educator, and he will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. Could we all please rise for a moment of silence? And could we all darken the chambers? May they rest in peace. First item on the mayor's business, we have a communication. My office received a communication regarding recognizing a new East Pawtuckaville Citizens Group. It was formerly East Pawtuckaville Neighborhood Group and Rosemont Terrace Neighborhood Group. If I could kindly just read the communication briefly. This is from Steve Brogan and Paul Belay. I would like you to know that if I'd like to have a communication added to the next city council agenda to inform the council of the newly formed East Pawtuckaville Citizens Group, formerly the East Pawtuckaville Neighborhood Group in Rosemont Terrace. Meeting's going to be held on the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Our first meeting will be on December 4th at the Pawtuckaville Social Club. We'd like to invite all councilors and city managers and staff to attend. The chair would like to recognize Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That message was passed along to me to give tonight, but the mayor said it better than I could, so thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Council. Sorry about that. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress and place on file by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. Moving on to the next item. As we have been, we're keeping in line with new businesses that have opened in the city. I would like to have, I'd like to read a citation first and also recognize individuals from Plummer Foster Care, a new business in the city that we recently opened at your new location on 278 Broadway Street. If you'd like to come forward, and Connor, I think, has a zip drive. If we could, oh, it's all queued up and ready to go. So if you wanted to just chat at the podium, or speak into the microphone at the podium. Could you cue that up for us, Connor, if you could? So while we're waiting for that to queue up, if you want to welcome, first of all, welcome. We do have a citation that we can offer either before or after, whatever your pleasure is.
Okay. I just want to say thank you all for having us here and welcoming us to the community in Lowell. We are trying to make a difference in Lowell. There's hundreds of kids who are in need of families, and our program is really trying to get them back into families, or families that can make a permanent commitment to them. And we're about to show you a video of one of our foster families and their kids, and their voice is, I think, they speak volumes on what we're doing and hoping to be able to do in the future to make a difference.
First decide to become a foster parent, that's a really, really big decision. When I first became a foster parent, I already had an enjoyment of children. I had a lot of young children in my family, extended family, and I always enjoyed that. And I had a friend who was involved in foster care, and she convinced me to give it a try, and she said, I know this really adorable 8-year-old. Take him for a weekend. Magic, it just happened. I got hooked. And after that, it was a very easy decision to become a foster parent. You can analyze for weeks, months, and years and never do it. So my advice is just jump in. It all works out pretty well.
So my life before coming into Dan's home, I was in residential, and I was in this one residential place for 8 years. And before that, I was probably in 30, 40 different foster homes.
One of the most important aspects of being a foster parent is to connect with some support. And by support, I mean people that understand what you're doing. I can promise you they're probably not part of your circle of friends. They may have raised children, they may be the best parents in the world, but they will not understand completely the dynamics of raising a child who's not your own, who's had a traumatic past. So you need to find people who have that experience.
I think a kid, when he first moves into a foster family, he really needs to know that the parent is going to stick with him no matter what. I tested Dan a lot by acting up to see if he was really committed to being a foster parent, and he never disappointed me.
I would give the following advice to foster parents. Just do it. jump in the water. I think you'll find it an enjoyable experience. Make sure your expectations are reasonable and just enjoy the ride.
Kids need families to grow up. That's just what they need.
So on behalf of the city, it is a little bit of a different business, but we thought it was, as we do, is we bring all businesses in, and on behalf of the city, we have a citation. Be it hereby known to all that the city of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we hereby congratulate Plummer Foster Care. It's in a location at 278 Broadway Street. Plummer Home programs include a group home, supported apartment, foster care, community apartments, and the On Point Teen Resource Center. Teenagers without families are in trouble. Often these teens live in group homes or temporary foster homes. If these teens don't find families before they leave state care, there is a good chance they will end up homeless or unemployed. Plummer Home is determined to change these outcomes using intervention model that heavily emphasizes finding permanent families while teaching skills and connectivity with youth in the community. On behalf of all of us here in City Council Chamber, the entire city extends its deepest wishes to Plummer Foster Care. We thank you for all that you have performed for the good of others, given on the second day of December by myself and all my colleagues in government. Thank you. We congratulate you. We appreciate what you do for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have information in this envelope that I will leave right here, and some pens if people are interested in spreading the word. We are in need of more foster parents, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you again. So moving on, we have one more proclamation to the Nonprofit Alliance of Greater Lowell. Come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm Suzanne Frechette. I'm the president of the Nonprofit Alliance of Greater Lowell. With me is Toby Marks, who is the executive director of 127 Global, one of our members. I want to thank you for inviting us tonight. I do want to say it's a perfect day to do this. It is actually Giving Tuesday, so it's the day for us to put aside our Black Friday sales and donate generously to the nonprofits here and across the country. I just want to take a brief moment to talk a little bit about nonprofits. Massachusetts has over 34,000 nonprofits. We have 1 in 6 residents in Massachusetts who work for nonprofits. We have revenues in excess of $2.9 billion. Here in the NPA, we have over 30 members. Our budget is over $150 million. We have over 2,000 employees here, and literally probably tens of thousands of volunteer hours every year at a rate in Massachusetts of $27 per hour. I'll let you do the math. I didn't actually do the math. But we do everything, and I suspect, and I know personally, some of you have volunteered for us. You do everything: warehouse work, we build homes, we clean parks, we have food and wine festivals, but we really add to the community here in Lowell, and we create jobs and revenue. So this event on Friday, which is really important for us to recognize the work of volunteers, that is an international day declared by the United Nations in 1988. And so before I close, I want to make sure to extend an invitation to the event on Friday here right outside at JFK Plaza. We're going to have 2 food trucks. We're going to provide free lunch to volunteers, a small gift, and we're going to have a speaking program. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for agreeing to speak. I believe we'll have other dignitaries as well, and any of the councilors who wish to speak and thank the volunteers, and Mr. Manager as well, you're certainly welcome to do that.
Thank you. So on behalf of, while we have you in front of the folks at home, we do have a proclamation we will issue on the 5th. And it's City of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by myself, Rodney M. Elliott, the mayor, a proclamation. Whereas International Volunteer Day is a chance for individual volunteers, communities, and organizations to promote their contributions to development at the local, national, and international levels. International Volunteer Day is a unique opportunity for people and volunteer involving organizations to work with government agencies, nonprofit institutions, community groups, academia, and the private sector. And whereas International Volunteer Day 2014 recognizes and celebrates volunteerism with a special focus on honoring people's participation in making a difference at all levels, locally, nationally, and globally, whereas this year's theme underlines the ability of volunteerism to help create open space for dialogue and inclusion, ultimately fostering the participation of people from all age groups, genders, and background in the decision-making process. Now, therefore, I, Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor of the City of Lowell, do hereby proclaim December 5th, which is Friday, International Volunteer Day, and we encourage all citizens to join in this celebration, given this Friday, the 5th, December 2014. Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor of the City of Lowell, with my colleague, on behalf of my colleagues in government. Thank you so much.
I don't think we got the time of that. You said Friday? Oh, noontime. Thank you.
That concludes the mayor's portion of the business. Moving on to the city clerk's section of the agenda. We have minutes of the meeting November 18th. We have minutes from the Public Safety Subcommittee meeting of the 18th as well for acceptance. Moved to approve by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Kennedy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The reports are accepted and placed on file. Next item on the city auditor, we have the communication regarding FY14 Schedule A, Department of Revenue approved on 11/2014. We have another report, FY15 year-to-date budget expenditure report of the general fund. Questions? Councilor Milanazzo, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city auditor. Just a couple of quick questions. If I could just direct your attention to page 2 of 29, where you list earnings on investments at almost $81,000, and then there's another on page. Just make sure I have the page correct. On page 7, there was a smaller, again, earnings on investments of $1,823. Those two line items, are those all of the earnings that we receive on, be it general fund monies invested in or federal grants to come into the city that are invested?
That's all the interest earnings that's made, whether it's in the money market, the bank accounts, all of those revenues go through there.
I think that's a pretty substantial number, over $380,000. So congratulations to whoever is on our investment committee to, putting those monies, to work for the city. The other question I have, if I could, Mr. Mayor, on page 27, if I could, again to the city auditor, where we talk about the total excess of revenues over expenditures, where it's a negative $10 million, and then we have, I guess it would be transfers to other funds, if I'm reading that, I'm sorry, other financing sources, the $9,400,000. What does that number represent, Madam Auditor?
Some of that is the bonds that were issued, and then there's also that transfers from one fund to another. But I believe most of that was all the bonds that were issued earlier in the year. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Further questions on the report? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress and place on file by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion is accepted and placed on file. Moving on to Section 4, we have unfinished business. We have an order of taking and acceptance of relocated Edward Street and sidewalk in front of 1765 Middlesex Street. The hearing was held on this, and it was closed. This was required to go to the clerk's office for 7 days, which it has been. So entertain a motion to waive the full reading for the second time by Councilor Martin, second by Councilor Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. The opposed, the motion carries. The second reading will be by title. It's Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council. It's an order taking and acceptance of relocated Edward Street and sidewalk in front of 765 Middlesex Street to take by eminent domain and a fee of a certain parcel of land in the City of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of relocated Edward Street and sidewalk in front of 1765 Middlesex Street and other municipal purposes associated therewith. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move to approve by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Milonazo. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. Moving on to the next section of the agenda, we have communications from the city manager. We have responses to motions A through E. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I have two questions on motion B and motion E. Thank you. On motion B, I want to thank the city manager for this report. One of the questions, in changing the high wattage bulb to a 30-watt LED light, is that going to be adequate in most areas?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. In my own personal opinion, no. After walking in the City of Lights Parade and going to a grand opening on Palmer Street, I think we have some significant needs for more lighting in downtown Lowell. We've already met, and we're going to be doing a research and survey of the adequate level of lighting for downtown Lowell and the type of process we need to provide that lighting. So we're trying as best we can. This will improve the lighting, but I don't think it's going to improve it to the state that the citizens and this council want. So we're going to be working on that in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I would also ask, actually, you've almost answered another question that I have in regard to this issue. Is it possible to identify the problem areas such as those areas near the university, near the community college, in our schools for lighting, whether they need the lighting that is already there needs to be updated, or we need to add lighting? And why I say that, on the way to this meeting, the lights by Middlesex Community College Library are out, and there's a crosswalk there, and it's literally in complete darkness. And I think these are issues, if we want to make this a walkable city, it's these issues at nighttime. So I commend you for talking about what you plan to do regarding the general lighting, but I would also add that the university, Middlesex Community College, and our schools be included in that survey to ensure that there's adequate lighting for our children in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Samaras. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. On the same motion, I'm glad that, you noticed during the City Lights Parade, and I know you're working hard on that. I did want to, was there any, are we going to look at maybe on Market Street, is there any talk of maybe looking at the building owners to see if we could put some instead of digging up the sidewalk, it'd be a lot cheaper to get the cooperation of some building owners to put lights on the building, so.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, excellent question. As a matter of fact, I noticed a few buildings. I targeted them as what I thought we would contact the owners to put lighting. I think they could supplement the lighting that's there now and make it brighter on the sidewalk and the street. And that's one of the ways, not only us increasing the poles, but putting lights on the buildings along the sidewalk so that that increases the light.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to comment on the same motion response. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for being so prompt on this issue, because it's a big concern to residents in downtown and businesses that we hear a lot, that the lighting is inadequate, and it is, especially Merrimack Street, and when you come off Thorndike onto Market Street, and getting to your point about buildings needed more lighting, I think that's, from here on in, is what we really need to concentrate on. For instance, the National Park headquarter building there has a lot of frontage. It's a very long building. and it's very, very dark in front of it, and there's residents in there as well. That might be one owner that we may want to contact, see what they can do. But there's also the city garage on Market Street, too, that the sidewalk in front of that could afford to be much more lit up, too. And that's our building, so that's something we can control. So whatever we can control, Mr. Manager, I'm sure you're looking at to enhance lighting, because it's an issue, once again, that, you know, that affects public safety. And people don't feel safe, they're not going to come downtown. And lighting is a big, big deterrent. And that's not only in the downtown, that's in all the neighborhoods as well. So I appreciate your diligence on this issue, and I look forward to future updates from yourself and the Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Further questions on motion responses? Councilor Mercia?
Yes, there's a response on the break-in and entering E, and it says that if there's evidence at the scene of a break-in or a crime, that they will send whatever they find, like if it's blood, to the state lab to be processed. And I'm wondering if it's still a backlog of like 8 months. We don't seem to do it in a timely fashion because there's such a backlog. What do we do, Chief, in that respect?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to the City Council, there is currently still a substantial backlog at the State Crime Lab. It's actually more than 8 months without some intervention in terms of our efforts to try and prioritize it and move it up the list. It's more like 10, 11, 12 months sometimes. And it's because of, obviously, they're trying to, I think the state is trying to catch up with more technicians, more chemists to do the analysis. And as you can imagine, with the advances made in the technology, every police department across the state now is trying to utilize potential DNA trace evidence in crime scenes.
Let's say that a robbery occurred, a break-in, and let's say that on the deck you could clearly see footprints. And let's say you suspected someone in the neighborhood who has a known drug problem. How could we ever, what's the next step from that? Say that it were me and I said, I'd like to match these footprints up with so-and-so down the street who's a known drug addict in our neighborhood that has been probably breaking it in or suspected him doing that to other places. How do we get from point A to point B by saying, can we mold this footprint or draw or whatever and try to take this person in for questioning and match up the shoe with the print? Could we do that?
Yes, we can. We can try and do that.
Do you need a warrant to do that?
Well, it depends, and every investigation is very specific to the details, but typically what they do is they try and recover the evidence, the footprints in this case, and they try and correlate it back to a potential suspect, and they'd have to develop enough probable cause to go and interview the suspect and potentially see if they need a warrant to get his shoes and things like that.
That's why it's very annoying and depressing when you see that the CID detective didn't come right away and came the next morning at 10:30 when everything was evaporated. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do.
The frustration there?
And I think if you don't mind, Mayor, if you look at the response taken in its entirety, I think it's an effort on the police department, especially in our investigative services, to be more customer service oriented and take an approach that we view the people, we appropriately view the people that were the victims of these crimes with the dignity and the respect that is necessary, and we keep in contact with them. And I think to, abbreviate the entire memo, the most significant thing I think is that we are committed now to having a follow-up contact with the victim of these types of crimes within a reasonable amount of time, certainly 48 to 72 hours. So that they know the status of the investigation and there can be an exchanging of information.
And Chief, don't think that I don't realize that it's not like happening once every 6 months and that we have plenty of time and plenty of people that could respond. I know it's happening quite a lot and it's overpowering. That's why when we have a public safety subcommittee and we try to go to the root of it so this doesn't happen and we're emotional about it, it's because we're frustrated just like you are. And we don't want to throw blame. That's not what we're doing.
I
but
understand.
we're questioning because it's just, maybe we feel better after we get it off our chest, but thanks, Chief. Thank you. That's all.
Council Samaras.
Thank you. Through the manager, Chief Taylor,
Yes.
thank you for this report. Do you feel, one part of the report where you talk about in a reasonable time frame to call upon the victims to make sure that they're aware of what has been going on, do you feel that this can be handled?
Yes, I intend this will be implemented immediately, and obviously there are components of this that are new initiatives and new obligations on especially our investigative unit. So we will see as it plays out if we need additional resources, especially civilians, personnel that can make some of these contacts. But I think we have enough personnel to at least start it, and it'll be an evaluation process to see if we can, how we manage it as we move forward.
No, I seriously, I want to thank you and the city manager, because you have been reacting to our requests and our responses to some of the problems that we're facing in this city. When you talk about civilian help, I think that is part of the issue. I would rather see all of your officers on the street or doing the work they've been trained to do, rather than handling any clerical work. Could I ask the city manager that a report be given to us regarding potential of assigning more clerical help to the police to ensure that regular officers are freed up from office work to handle some of these problems? I think we're in the right direction, and I think it's just a matter of putting everything together. I think we are on a way to really addressing the needs of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Mayor?
Any other questions for the chief? Council Belanger?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For starters, I'd like to second Council Samaras' request. I think that's what we need. Officers more on the street than doing clerical work. Whatever we can transfer an officer to the street, I suggest we do it. So in all due respect, I do support Council Samaras' request, but through you, Mr. Mayor, to the chief. Now, Chief, I do like your motion response here to this break-in and entering. You seem to expedite the process. You're more prone, more responsive to. But what I'm looking to see is, what are we doing now? I know through data that we can tell when a burglar, in some cases, they target neighborhoods, and there's several in the same weeks or week span in the neighborhood. Now, what are we doing for outreach in that certain part of the city to let residents know that, look, things in your neighborhood, there seem to be an increase in break-ins? What's the outreach process going on there, may I ask? Thank you very much.
Yes, Councilor, thank you. Through the mayor, we do quite a bit of outreach, and most recently you've probably seen some media discussing our Code Red initiative, where we use new technology. It's like a reverse 911, where we get access to people's landlines, but increasingly we're asking people to utilize the city website or the police department website to go in, sign up for Code Red, and decide how each person and each resident in the city would like to get the information from the police department or the other emergency and services across the city. So if you would rather get it on email, or if you would rather get it on cell phone, you have the ability to do that on utilizing the Code Red, and like I said, you can get that through either the city website or the police department website. And so we do a lot of that. And in addition to that, with the community groups, we are always interacting with the community groups through a spirit of collaboration, trying to exchange information. Some of the community groups are extremely active and really get the information out to the residents in their areas about crime trends. And then we also have social media. So we also are pumping this information out multiple times a day on our Twitter, Facebook feeds, My PD app, which is another really good, effective way to get the information out. And then there's the old-fashioned way, where we actually send officers into the neighborhoods that are kind of locally affected, and sometimes ring doorbells, talk to people as they walk by, and try and get the message out. So we do all of the above.
Very good, Chief. Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Council. For further questions for the chief? Seeing none. Further questions on motion responses? If Council Leahy could just take the chair, I'd just like to say a few words on a response to one of my motions.
Chair recognizes Mayor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I just want to say a couple of words in response to the memo on a motion I had made regarding natural gas and getting a fixed price or aggregate natural gas price. I'd like to proceed with this, Mr. Manager. It won't cost us anything to proceed with a request for proposals that inevitably would be paid for by the consultant, being paid for by the supplier. And I mean, I brought this forward and it was actually brought to my attention from a couple of residents after the city contracted for a price for electricity, knowing that, the price is supposed to increase. The city went out and got a bid price, and we continued our aggregate municipal buying program. So it seemed to make some sense, knowing that natural gas, regrettably, is on the rise, and if we could get a fixed cost for the homeowners that are going to be hit by, particularly we're going into the winter months, they're going to get hit by heating costs, many of which have, natural gas. So this is for natural gas, not gas for, cars. So I think you need a motion to proceed. The recommendation is to proceed with an RFP. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
I believe that I can proceed just to send out the request for proposal, just to see what it is, but
Okay,
I
so
think
you
it's
don't
an
need the vote of the
I don't think
council
we need
on
a
this?
vote,
Okay.
But we did a great job with the electric rates, and if we can do the same with the natural gas rates, it's going to be wonderful for the citizens of Lowell and decreasing their bills.
Yeah, no, I agree. And let me also comment on the fact that you did do a good job, and that gave me the idea. We're doing this for electricity. Can we do something for natural gas? And hopefully we'll be able to, knowing that there's going to be such fluctuation with natural gas. So thank you for bringing this forward. I look forward to, and I'm sure the people at home will be looking forward to some constant rate rather than these high fluctuations on this. So hopefully we'll have good news to come sometime. Do we have any idea what the time frame might be for this?
Can I ask Mr. Ferrera to...
Mr. Ferrera?
Through the mayor.
Knowing that we're already getting into the cold weather, what our people at home can anticipate?
It'll probably be a bit of a process because it is a different law that we have to apply to the DPU under. And so with the consultants, they probably are telling me about a year and a half before we could get it implemented.
So we're not looking at this year, I see. Well, maybe we can try to speed it up. Okay. All right, thank you.
All set?
That's it.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
Vice
Murphy.
Chair. Could I have that gentleman back up here again? Because I'm going to ask you something really bizarre. Were you involved with the aggregation of the electric rates in the city
Through the
here?
mayor to the city council. Yes.
You were.
Yes.
Do you know, I know this is far-fetched, but I did get a call at my home from a woman in Westford, and she asked me if they're under this plan. Would you know that at all?
No, they're not.
They're not.
No. We are in talks with NIMCOG to actually combine the electric aggregation regionally. So Westford is a member of NIMCOG, as well as Baraga, Chelmsford, Dracut.
I was on the board at NIMCOG. I'm aware
We've
of
got a lot of inquiries, particularly since National Grid's rate increase was so significant this year, of the potential of having these smaller communities possibly aggregate and partner with the city of Lowell to go out with a much larger aggregation and for potential better pricing.
So since you deal in the energy program and the electricity and things like that, do the people that are on nebula, a monitor that helps them to breathe, I can't think of the word, what? Well, not a nebulizer, the machine that you need all night long if you have emphysema. I can't think of the name. I lost the. Do they get a break for having this on all the time, night and day? It's crucially important to their health that they have this on. My husband was on one for 7 years, so that same lady asked me if we get any discount for the people in the city that have to use this machine all the time.
Well, I don't know about that specifically, but I do know that National Grid offers a discount rate that is applicable to all low-income citizens. You don't necessarily have to be on fuel assistance to get the discount rate. Most seniors on a fixed income would probably qualify for it. It's about a 25% discount that National Grid offers.
It's not an age thing, is it?
No, it is not. No, it's based solely on income.
It's some sort of a concentrator that keeps on all the time so that you walk around the house with it. It's like a, well, you get the idea, right? Yeah. And that lady asked me if we offered that in the city of Lowell, but through a discount like that would be good.
Yeah, it is significant that it is 25%.
And maybe people are not aware of it, so that's why I asked you if you could come up and explain that. Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any further discussion? To take a motion to accept and place on file by Mayor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Kennedy.
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Moving on to next item on the agenda, it's 5.2. We have a communication. Request City Council set a public hearing for December 16th for the purpose of voting on the minimum residential factor for 2015. Entertain a motion to refer to a public hearing by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Leahy, to a public hearing on December 16th at 7 p.m. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion passes. Next item, on item number 6, we have votes from the city manager. The first vote is an access agreement for DEP-35 on the Lowell connector. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading, excuse me, by Council Belanger, seconded by Council Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. The second reading is by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote. Authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement for access to property between the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection relative to access to certain groundwater monitoring wells installed by the Environmental Protection Agency in the vicinity of Sil Resum Superfund site on Tanner Street for the purpose of taking water table measurements and collecting water samples for laboratory analysis for 35 Lowell Connector, Massachusetts. What is the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Present.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
8 yeas.
8 yeas, motion passes. Moving on to next item of the agenda, we have a vote, adoption of personal property tax exemption to R&D companies.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor.
Move to approve. This requires a second reading. Motion by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Martin to waive full reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title is Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote approving the adoption of personal property tax exemption to research and development companies per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clauses 16.3, Section I through 16.3, Section 2. Move to approve by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item on the agenda, we have another vote, and this vote is to apply, accept, expend a grant, Division of Planning and Development, for $300,000 from Mass Developments, Brownsfields. Motion to waive the full reading by Council O'Rourke, seconded by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, motion carries. The second reading will be by title. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote authorizing the city manager to apply, expend, and accept funds from a grant for the Mass Development Brownsfields Redevelopment Fund in the amount of $300,000. Questions? Councilor Belanger.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I know this is a long-awaited parcel in the Hamilton Canal District. I think, I believe parcels 8 and 9 were set to be complete in June of 2014. And I know things can run behind, but through you to the manager, although this is good, we're moving forward, Mr. Manager, but any contact with Trinity Financial as to where they sit on this situation and how far are we away, quite frankly?
Mr. Manager.
I think they're still pretty far away from doing residential on parcel 8 and 9, but at least we can do our end be done. So if somebody does come along that has a quicker proposal, then hopefully we can entertain that also.
We're able to do that at this point? No, we're not
Yes.
locked in with Trinity? Because I'm sorry, I'm losing patience by the day here with them, with all due respect. So very, very good. This is a step forward. Thank you for the update.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on this motion? Move to approve by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Council Milonazo. Council Mercia.
No, that's fine.
Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Moving on to 6.4. We have another vote. This one again is to apply, accept, expend a grant from FTA, Federal Transit Administration, in the amount of, it's a Sarbanes grant, $1,592,292. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote. Authorizing the city manager to apply, accept, and expend funds from a grant from the Federal Transit Administration in the amount of $1,592,292 from the Paul S. Sarbanes Transit in the Parks Grant. Questions? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager. I understand that this grant has already been awarded, and we're just now going through the process of signing an agreement. And I'm pleased, number one, that the grant is coming forward, but secondly, that the Lowell Regional Transit Authority is playing a large role or major role in making sure that this phase of the trolley expansion comes to fruition. So I just want to acknowledge the good work of the LRTA, obviously the city and the Lowell National Park as well. I think this $1.6 million grant is going to go a long way to improving, if you will, the public transit system in the downtown. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Council. Councilor Belanger.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to echo Council Milanazo's comments. This is outstanding. This is an expansion of our trolley system that goes from the Gallagher Terminal to the university, to the Hamilton Canal District. So this is very, very big for us, and something that we've been, I believe we granted in 2011, but it's soon to come into fruition. And through you to the manager, Mr. Manager, how soon can we get a briefing from a DPD official on this, the time frame and the steps and whatnot? Would be great. Just briefly, if we could.
Mr. Manager.
I'd ask Craig Thomas, could you come up?
If you'll indulge us a moment to put a little picture up here.
Thank you, Craig. The folks at home will appreciate it.
So it's been some time, I believe, since the council's seen a lot of information on the trolley project, and I appreciate a very brief opportunity and a little crooked opportunity. A very brief opportunity to give an update to the body. This is the generalized.
Oh, there you go.
This is the generalized proposed route
Now
for
it
the
looks
trolley.
right.
I couldn't figure it out, but I was trying.
This is the dark brown here is the existing route. What you'll see are two proposed additions, both significant in different ways. The first, down at the bottom, links through the Hamilton Canal District, as Councilor Belanger pointed out, to the Gallagher Terminal. It's a critical feature in making this not just a tourist amenity and a part of what the National Park offers, which it will always be, but a true transit mode that citizens and anyone living in the city and wanting to visit our downtown at any time for events, for the Folk Festival, to go to the Lasher Park, can get on at Gallagher. In addition, and one of the big drivers, the folks we anticipate to use this system is the connection up through the North Campus of the university, and then down and out to South Campus. So this is the design that's existed since about 2010. This came together through other grant funding we received from the federal government to do some feasibility studies. And based on those studies and this alignment, again, in partnership with the park, University of Massachusetts Lowell is intimately involved in a working group we have, as well as NEMCOG and others. We went out to the Federal Transit Administration and asked them for more money to advance this, to actually do the design for construction documents and to prepare to actually build pieces of it. The first leg we anticipate, and we hope to have fully designed through this funding, is to get across the Hamilton Canal through South Common and to the Gallagher Terminal. In addition, we're going to continue advancing the project across the rest of the city with this funding.
Very good. Thank you so much. Further questions, or perhaps Councilor Mercia?
I have a question. I know at one time we had a trolley on display up at the hill by the Lot Overpass, and it is now gone. I wonder where that went. And why is it not there? Because
It's actually a very good question, and I'm not certain the answer to that. The trolleys that run on the tracks are actually more of a mixed bag than you might imagine. The National Park does not own all of the trolleys that they operate on their system. In fact, they have a partnership with a group called the National Seashore Trolley Museum that's based on the North Shore, and they actually have loaned, on a permanent basis, 2 of the heritage trolleys to the system. I have a sense that that was owned by a third-party organization as well, but I'm not certain. I can't really speak to that, unfortunately. But I'll look into it, because as a part of a full build-out, there will need to be additional trolleys purchased or retrofitted. We anticipate rehabbing and reusing the existing trolleys we have as full streetcars for full year-round operation.
Mr. Manager?
We're actually having a meeting tomorrow morning between UMass Lowell, the LRTA, and the city to discuss transportation issues in the city. And I'll ask Mr. Scanlon in that meeting what's gone on with that and get a report to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. If there are no other questions?
Need a motion.
Motion to proceed with the submission of this application by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, we have another vote. This vote is to authorize the city manager to execute a lease with Degmar Development Corporation for the police substation. Entertain a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rourke, second by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. The second reading will be by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council as a vote. Authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with Degmar Development Corporation with the principal place of business at 404 Middlesex Road, Tingsboro, Mass. 01879 for property located at 401 Bridge Street, Lowell, Massachusetts 01850. There is someone registered to speak.
Anne Marie Page.
Good evening, Mrs. Page, and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Anne Marie Page. I reside at 26 Fremont Street in Lowell. I sit on the board of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group, and I'm president of the Citywide Neighborhood Council. And this is a fabulous proposal you have before you. And I'm sure you've looked at it and you realize this is a couple of thousand square feet. And we're going to pay some rent for it. But this isn't the first time we've done this. We did a little precinct over in Centerville a while back, and it really turned that section around. Now we're going into a bigger, more visible, much-needed precinct. And while you're thinking about it and thinking about the money, this includes heat, extremely efficient heat, lights. We're not talking a 25-watt bulb. These are real lights and efficient, very efficient. Air conditioned in 2,000 square feet, very, very visible, right at 401 Bridge Street. And it was built by a contractor that has a good reputation with our neighborhood and with the city. So it's not a piece of junk. This is also a landlord that the Lowell Police Department, City of Lowell, has utilized before. So we have a good reputation. So there's no gambling. And we know how important it is to get this over in Centerville, because Uncle Sam thought it was real important when he gave Centerville a ceasefire grant of $900,000. So we need it, we want it. You all said to us, safety is our top priority. This is part of our safety. We saw what a little precinct did in Lowell, over in Centerville, and a few little precincts here. But we know what a big precinct can do. This will be an active precinct. There will be different people from the police department in there. 2,000 square feet is not shabby. It has everything we need. It has everything the city wants, and we are depending on you. I thank you very much. We appreciate what you do for us. Take care. Enjoy your holidays.
Thank you, Mrs. Page. Appreciate your comments. Questions? Move to approve by Council Martin, second by Councilor Leahy. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy. Yes. Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Next item is a vote regarding EPA. So, Council Leahy, would you take the chair and step aside?
Uh, 6.6, this is a vote to apply, accept, expand a grant DPD for $350,000 EPA Brownfield Site Specific Assessment Grant. So motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Belanger. Approved, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council. Vote authorizing the city manager acting through the Department of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, expend a grant in the amount of $350,000 from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for brownfield assessment. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move approval by Council Rourke, second by Council Belanger. Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott. Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Motion's approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item of the evening, we have another vote. This one is to create a capital debt service stabilization fund and transfers from free cash. Second reading, City of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to create a capital debt service stabilization fund to fund future expenditures related to capital improvements, ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell by a 2/3 vote as follows, that a capital debt service stabilization fund to fund future expenditures related to capital improvements project is hereby created. Be it further voted that the amount of $2,778,701 is hereby transferred from free cash general fund, capital debt service stabilization fund 8397 in various accounts as set forth in attachment A.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Kennedy, Councilor Lee, excuse me.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Motion carries. Moving on to next item of the agenda, we have orders from the city manager. The first order is an order of taking and acceptance Decatur Avenue. This will be the first reading, and entertain a motion to refer this to a public hearing on December 16th, 2014 at 7 p.m. by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the next section of the agenda, we have ordinances from the city manager. This first one is an ordinance to create a new grant-funded position, Transportation Project Manager. Excuse me again. This is the first reading. I entertain a motion to refer this to a public hearing on December 16th by Councilor Lee, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We'll set a public hearing on the 16th. Moving on to the next section of the agenda, we have subcommittee reports. First subcommittee report of the evening, Substance Abuse Subcommittee Report. Chairman Belanger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This was a newly formed, newly reestablished subcommittee, I might add, and it was very well attended this evening. On hand, we had Chief Taylor who spoke, Representative Tom Golden was on hand, former Mayor Councilor Bud Caulfield, Kerry Deppermont of the Greater Lowell Health Alliance, which works, serves Greater Lowell on this opiate issue, and Frank Singleton, Health Commissioner here in the city, and all spoke of the the detrimental effect that opiate abuse is having in this city, especially and in society, and that how collaboratively it's going to take an effort to get under control, to say the least. It's that, and the chief reiterates this, that this is not an issue that we're going to arrest our way out of. We need a collaborative effort from all elected officials, residents, all workers and co-workers that work in these facilities to help those in need. We need a total collaborative effort to reassure that more funding is in need. So that's our goal, to get united, not only in Lowell, but Greater Lowell, all elected officials in groups, to go to march to Beacon Hill and give an outcry of this crisis that it needs funding, period. Incarceration is not the solution, and it's not going to solve this. Treatment facilities are. So we're all on the same team. There will be another meeting forthcoming, and it was very productive, to say the least. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on that subcommittee report? Motion to accept the report of progress by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Council Lee, I have a brief finance subcommittee report. If you would come on back up, getting a little exercise tonight.
Chair recognizes Mayor Elliott.
Thank you. I will be brief, Mr. Vice Chair. The Finance Subcommittee met this evening in response to a motion that was sent there by Councilman Milonazzo relative to a motion actually put forward by the city manager on, we currently have a stabilization fund mandated by state law, Chapter 17 as it is referred to. And the discussion at the Finance Subcommittee presented by the city manager and the staff was the intent behind it, and the long and the short of it is we currently have a $2 million, well, first of all, this was set up back in 1993 as a result of some financial issues that took place, and the city came up short on its operating budget. We had to, get state approval. So in the last 20 years, the city has stabilized its finances. We have stabilized our reserves as well, and as a result, the city currently, unfortunately, has a net school spending law deficit on the school side that we're trying to get rid of. And that's essentially the purpose of this. There's currently $2.2 million available in this stabilization fund. We need state approval in order to dissolve and repeal this act, and that is the intent of dissolving this. There's $2 million last year. There was $2 million taken to give to the schools in order to satisfy our net school spending. Again, there's still $2.2 million deficit that we have to pay. The intent is to use this money to, liquidate that liability, get that off our books. Our financial institutions, our financial advisors have advised us that this is a good thing, get rid of this liability. I mean, we will still have significant reserves, both in excess levy capacity, as well as reserves upwards of over $11 million in addition to this. So we're looking at $21 million in reserves that we can always rely on. So the city is in good financial shape. The recommendation is to proceed with this, and motion made by Council Martin, seconded by Council Kennedy to proceed with recommending to the full council that we proceed with home rule petition to repeal Chapter 17 of 1993. That's a report from the Finance Subcommittee's report of progress, as well as a recommendation to proceed. Mr. Vice Chair, thank you.
Any further, Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. At first, when this came before us some time ago to collapse this Chapter 17 fund with the net school spending, I was a little hesitant, and I needed to have some questions asked because it seemed like it was a safety net that would create a certain amount of money when things get tough, and yet we're so far behind with the net school spending obligation that we had. And I did hear the Finance Subcommittee this evening, and I know that there are people that tune in at 6:30, but they don't tune in before that. Probably they didn't get enough notice to know that we did have a Finance Subcommittee meeting on this very subject. And so at that time, we had Connor Baldwin speaking on it and telling us well, first they said that this is good for the city to dissolve it, that it isn't a recognized true reserve, and it's not recognized as a true reserve. And then we had our expertise here, our expert professional person, Bob Healy, and he did explain everything. And it came to our knowledge that this would be the most wise choice to dissolve this. And I would like to just have Bob Healy just repeat what he said so that the people at home that missed the Finance Subcommittee meeting, so that they know why I'm voting to support it, because I think this is the most common sense thing to do. I think that I had messages from people that were under the impression that this was a safety net that was mandated by the state, and there was really nothing we could do to dissolve it, and if we took money out, we had to replenish it, and that it's similar, they said, to the pension fund for the federal government, where they were borrowing it from it all the time and not paying back into it. This is not anything like that at all, and if it's like having a credit card here and a debt here, so this credit card means nothing because you have all this debt accompanying that credit card. So I would just like to be repetitive in that for the people I did not hear. if he could be so eloquent again and give us brief synopsis of why I'm going to vote to support it. Thank you. Sorry to do this to you, but.
Mr. Haley?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councilor Mercer, thank you. And brief will be the applicable word. I think as we look at this, the most important financial matter that this city council and city administration can deal with this year is net school spending. And the city manager presented to the city council a budget for FY15 that provided for adequate funding for meet the minimum foundation aid requirement for this coming fiscal year. It did not address the back debt, if you want to call it, on the credit card called net school spending. And the $2 million that was appropriated by the city council back in March, I believe, to be applied was from the Chapter 17 reserve, which means it would have to be paid back, which in a sense, if you look at it, and what you've done with the free cash appropriation, there isn't $2 million available to do that unless you go into the stabilization reserve, which the city has been building up over time and now is a healthy just over $10 million. The unreserved levy capacity is $12 million. The excess levy capacity is over $12 million. So the city has been recognized by Standard & Poor's as following sound fiscal practices. Getting rid of this debt will free up, in fact, money for free cash, because under the current circumstances, that money stays within the school system. It does not revert to the general fund. So I would so strongly urge the City Council to adopt this home rule petition.
Thank you. And so I shall with my vote. Thank you.
Council Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Again, I want to thank the administration for putting together a very good argument, if you will, to support this home rule petition, and I do plan to support it. I do have a question, though, as it relates to the status of the excess levy capacity. And I know I should know the answer to a question before I ask it, but I'm just going to ask the question. Does the Department of Revenue truly feel that excess levy capacity is a reserve?
Certainly the bond rating agencies do.
But does the Department of Revenue?
The Department of Revenue characterizes the excess levy capacity. The rating, the DOR doesn't rate us, Standard & Poor's does. So, I mean, it is viewed as a reserve from a financial rating standpoint.
Okay. Again, I'm going to support this, but again, I just caution my colleagues when they talk about a $21 million reserve, if you will, when in actuality, if you remove the excess levy capacity, it's something substantially less. But I think based upon the presentation that we've heard from, if you will, the experts here this evening, I do plan to support the home rule petition, because I do think it is a win-win as we go forward to meet the net school spending issue, which is obviously something that we need to deal with. So thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Any further? Councilor Martin?
So yes, I agree with those comments from Councilor Milonazo. I like Councilor Mercier, was a little apprehensive about this approach, but I do appreciate the information that was made available both at the subcommittee meeting and since this was first brought forward. So I've had a number of discussions with Mr. Baldwin, with the manager, with Mr. Healy about this, and I did vote at the subcommittee to support it, and I will do so again here. I mean, I do think we should be cognizant that this takes a reserve and applies it to an expense, but it is hopefully a one-time expense that, that the theory we've been operating on for a while here, and even the financial advisor advised to do, was one-time expenditures one-time money should be used for one-time expenditures. So I think that principle stays in place with this vote. I do think the reserves, as I understand it, at least 8.5 or a little bit in excess of that, $1 million, and not counting the excess levy capacity. So that's certainly not a huge amount of money given the size of our budget, but it's certainly better than we've had in most of the years that I've been here. So it's taken us some time to get there. anticipate that we'll continue to add to that over time. I do like the manager's approach, the votes we made earlier this evening about creating yet another stabilization fund where we can draw on for one-time capital type expenditures. Shows me that there are prudent fiscal concepts underlying these votes. So to me, I think the city is in good financial shape. I mean, we do have some issues that needed attention this year, and I think everybody who's considered that sees this as a reasonable approach to address the sort of overriding problem we had of net school spending. So I too appreciate the effort that's gone into this, and I think it's a good solution for this time, and I don't think it compromises our position with the rating agencies, and hopefully not with the Department of Revenue. So thank you, Mr. Manager, and the team for your work on this, and I do plan to support it.
Councilor Kennedy? Did you have?
I was just, Mr. Manager, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the manager, so what would be in order this time would be a formal vote to support the petition?
Correct.
Okay, so I would make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
If you don't mind, can I just come down and make a couple of comments?
Chair recognizes Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to say the same thing that my colleagues have. At first, I was a little apprehensive about getting rid of this account, but after speaking with the administration, it sounds like it's a prudent thing to do. I did want to make a comment that I appreciate the effort that you're putting towards education. The school system in Lowell is very complicated. What we do a lot with special ed, with newcomers to the system. So we do a lot and it costs a lot. But I appreciate that you see the need for that. We're going to get caught up, and hopefully this is, puts us back on a good, solid track for the school system. So I appreciate your effort on that part. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on the recommendation. So the recommendation from the Finance Subcommittee was to proceed with proceeding with this. So motion by Councilor Kennedy.
I don't think there's been a second to the motion.
Second. Second by Councilor Belanger on recommending that we proceed with this, and we do have the vote, and it was already brought before the council. So we'll proceed with the recommendation. Roll call. Roll call.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. So we do have the vote before us. It was read once, so if there's no objection, motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. The motion carries. The second reading will be by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell. In City Council is a vote authorizing the City of Lowell to petition the legislature regarding the 1992 Act entitled An Act Relative to the Financial Condition in the City of Lowell. Entertain a motion to move approval by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Motion passes. Still under reports, we have a report from the wire inspector.
Your Honor.
Councilor Leahy?
Just under subcommittees, could I just announce there's a neighborhood subcommittee meeting next Thursday at 6 o'clock in the chambers.
Next Thursday, 6 p.m., right here in the City Council chambers.
Yeah,
Are the
thank
chambers available? There's no meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
That's December 11th, too.
Right, December 11th. The following Thursday. Yeah.
Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to announce that next Tuesday, December 9th at 5 o'clock, we're having a cultural subcommittee. And then again at 5:30, we're having a transportation subcommittee. here in the chambers.
Right here in the chambers, very good. Any other subcommittees scheduled, meetings?
Yes, the Educational Partnership Committee will meet on December 16th at 5:30.
December 16th, right in here. So Tuesdays, all Tuesdays are booked, and then we have a Thursday. Any other meetings? Seeing none, we'll move on to this report from the wire inspector. We have Comcast Southern New England. Request for underground conduit and vault location at Church Street, Green Street, and George Street. This was before us, so entertain a motion to adopt and accept the accompanying report by Council Martin, seconded by Council Leahy.
Actually, I don't want to participate in this vote. I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Oh, okay. Motion to proceed by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Kennedy, to accept the accompanying report. Roll call. I guess all those in favor signify by saying aye.
One abstain.
No, abstain by Council Martin. Moving on to the next section of the agenda, we have petitions. The first petition, we have 2 claims for property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Milanazzo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're still under petitions. We have miscellaneous from Robert J. Morgan. We request 1 handicap parking sign at 40 Arlington Street. Entertain a motion to refer to the traffic engineer by Councilor Mercia. Seconded by Council Rourke. On the motion, Councilor
Yes, thank you,
Mercia.
Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make an amendment to the request and ask for a 60-day trial on that.
Motion to amend by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Belanger. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, to amend the original petition to include a 60-day trial. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion passes. Still under petitions, we have 1 more petition. We have a miscellaneous petition by University of Massachusetts at Lowell, requests traffic changes for Dane and Fletcher Street. Entertain a motion to refer this to the Law Department and Traffic Engineer for a report and recommendation by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll send that request to the Law Department and Traffic Engineer. Moving on to the next section of the evening, we have City Council motions. First motion of the evening by Councilor Leahy. Request City Manager have Proper Department review signage at corner of Western and School Street and recommend better organization of the signs. Second by Councilor Martin. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. We've done such a good job on Western Ave with all the artist studios and the businesses down there. I was wondering if we could take a look at it. We have signs plastered all over the new fencing from the bridge. So, yeah, if there's someone could come up with a good design for the signs, that'd be excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next motion of the evening, we have by Councilor Leahy again, request City Manager have Proper Department explore changing detour sign on Perry Street up to Middlesex Street. Second by Councilor Kennedy. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. This was a request at one of the neighborhood subcommittee meetings. You're aware of it, so the neighborhood feels it'd be easier if traffic flowed up to Middlesex Street, so thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion passes as well. Next motion of the evening, again by Councilor Leahy. We get request City Manager have Proper Department review contract with 495 Jeep/Chrysler of Lowell and ensure that they are in compliance with that contract. Second by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. This was a contract we signed about a year ago, and I was wondering, I noticed that there's a lot more cars on the lot than normal, and the agreement estimates about 67 cars So if we could review that contract, I think it would be in our benefit. I feel we're losing some money there, so I think if we took a look at it, it'd be a good thing to do. And I had one other request on this that I wanted to ask you about, that I'll give you a call on. I didn't know if that money goes back to the general fund or where it's a park, if we could just explore. I don't know if we have, like, on the school department, we put, we dedicated money from fees to the maintenance of the school gymnasiums. So I don't know if this would apply for that, if it's something we want to take a look at, and maybe where that money is generated from the parking lot at the Martin Alumni Complex. I didn't know if we wanted to take a look at that and dedicate some of it to maintenance for the Martin Complex. So just an idea. I should have called you on that today, but the main thing is just to take a look at that contract again. Thank you. And then I think we missed 11.2.
We did, yep.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on 11.4? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries as well. I have to revert back to 11.2, which I inadvertently skipped over. It's another motion by Councilor Leahy. Request city manager have proper department place sign at Broadway Street to prevent driving illegally over the bridge. Second by Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. This came out of the neighborhood meeting also. There is a sign there that lights up that tells you one way, but some suggestions that came out of the police department and the neighborhood group was if we could print on there what the fine is for going over that. It's a problem. We can't really station somebody there 24 hours, but people are going, they're waiting, and they shoot across the wrong way. So, and there's a few close calls. So maybe if we added what the fine is on that, it might be a better deterrent. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, do we have a long-term plan for that bridge? I mean, is there any way that cars can't go alternate back and forth over that bridge? It's really an inconvenience for so many people. Or
Yes,
is it
I
better
agree.
just keep it one way?
No, I agree with you, because when we were coming home the other night from the City Lights Parade, a car came across while we were trying to cross the Broadway. It is going to be a while, because they're not going to repair the bridge, they're going to completely replace the bridge. So I'll look into, I'll be meeting with Annell on some issues, we're negotiating with them, and I'll talk to them about maybe alternating it.
Signals, okay.
Signals, so it'll make it better for the neighbors, because it is going to be an extended period of time for the replacement of the bridge.
I know the food pantry there, Mr. Manager, is, that's a main thoroughfare for them. So, Councilor Kennedy?
I think we spoke about this once before. Maybe it was in executive session, I'm not really sure. But if it's going to be such a long time, and my recollection was it was going to be a year or more before the design and everything's done, then why can't we just have them open up the bridge again until all of that's done? Why isn't that possible?
I'll talk to them, and I'll give you a report as to what the plans are for the traffic over there.
Okay, but do you understand what I'm saying? We shouldn't just accept whatever their plan is. It seems to me if it's going to be that long of a time, then we ought to insist that they open up the bridge to two-way, so that this two-way traffic is possible, at least, until they come up with the design. I mean, it sounds like they never should have started any work on the bridge in the first place, right? If they need to do a design and do a whole brand-new bridge. So what they've done is just create an inconvenience for a lot of people, not for them, but for everybody else. And it seems to me that they should make good on that while we're waiting for them to come through with the design.
Are they just meeting the minimum load requirements right now, Mr. Manager?
Yes, that's the issue is, and for example, one of the big problems is the UMass Lowell buses can't go over the bridge. That's why you have all the problems up on Peavy Street and other side streets, taking the sharp corner and going over the sidewalks. It's a load issue for them. So I'll be meeting with them. I'll give you a complete report about timing and what we're going to do in the interim.
Also, Council. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Further discussion on this motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Moving on to 11.5, next motion of the evening by Council Rourke. Request city manager exploit possibility of hiring more inspectional service staff with an emphasis on working with police and fire department. Second by Council Milonazo. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, the way the motion is worded, I come at this from a public safety angle. And I know, Mr. Manager, with the budget and actually with the posting we saw a month ago, that inspectors are in the pipeline for the city. Back to Mr. Slago's report that he gave us a couple of meetings ago, where he actually listed the properties that they teamed up, police, fire, and inspections that they actually did go to, and some instances did shut down. So I was wondering if the city could maybe establish a pilot program if you had a couple of inspectors, with health and building backgrounds that could go with our police and or fire departments, that could just concentrate on those properties that are most problematic to our public safety departments. I have spoken to both police officers and fire department firefighters that they do go to the same houses over and over again. They do notice places are on squalor and so forth, and they do tell you the communication between the departments is terrific. Hopefully, maybe if we allotted these personnel just to these departments, we can get even more done. And again, it's another tool that the council has done before to given police department. Maybe there's just another added benefit for them to crack down on crime in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further, Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. I support Councilor Rourke's motion. I also believe that by this specific service will help the safety issues in the city, but it will also allow our other inspectors to issue their permits in a more timely fashion. And I think many of our builders and people who utilize those permits will be pleased by that. So I like the direction we're going in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next motion of the evening, again by Council Rourke. We have a request city manager allow residents / homeowners to dispose of excess trash free of charge the week after Christmas holiday. Second by Council Leahy. Council Rourke.
Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at Christmas this year. It is on a Thursday. I know there's a lot of parties that go on that week. They have the Christmas holiday itself. And thinking, coming from maybe the week after starting the Monday and going all the way through, if residents and or the homeowners are allowed to put their trash out, maybe not necessarily in the purple bags, as long as they are bagged, of course, but it's a small break to the citizens of the city where they can just put the excess trash out. And also, just add maybe recycling to that motion as well. Is another opportunity, for extra recycling pickup. Hopefully, that's something that can be looked into. And once again, it's a break out of convenience and a small monetary value to the residents that, if allowed. I know I personally have a ton of trash, through the Christmas weekend. So, if something like that can be done, I think it would be beneficial to the city. Thank you.
Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion passes. Last motion of the evening by Council Rourke. Request city manager explore possibility of having weekly recycling pickups. Second? Second on the motion by Council Leahy. Council Rourke or Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, this motion it's actually a credit to both the citizens and to the administration of the city. More and more people are recycling. Just driving around my neighborhood alone, I do see the recycling green barrels filled to the top, and sometimes the top's open. And, just maybe through process of elimination, when the recycling barrel is full, people may just throw their recycling into the trash barrel. So, the possibility, I know we have under a contract. I know the city does save money the more recycling that we do. So some of that savings can be turned into maybe an extra pickup, or even another suggestion could be if another, maybe a smaller barrel could be given to households at a severely discounted price. I think the direction we want to go in is the more recycling, the better. So in an instance like this, if something looked into, that'd be terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Marcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I applaud all the efforts people put in to recycle all that they can, but to now ask the public to reach into their pockets and pay more is not what I will support. With respect to this motion, which only states to explore and not to outright request that recycling be done on a weekly basis, I am still having trouble supporting it. I did a little exploring on my part already, and I found that there is a contract in place, and the recycling part is quite costly. That is why, in an effort to save money and provide a recycling service to offset the cost of the trash pickup, that particular city council, of which I was a member of, found that if we provided a larger 90-gallon container, the residents can put more in it and cut the cost in half. When I explored this issue, here is what I found out. There are 5,000 customers who recycle, so we spend $780,000 for 26 weeks of recycling with a crew of 2.5 men and 2.5 trucks each week, which is how the math plays out. And that's, don't ask me where the half a person and the half a truck came from, but with the math, that's how it balances out. If we have recycling every week, we now have to double the trucks, double the manpower, and double the money by appropriating another amount of money close to $800,000. And I don't know how this would play out to the cost of recycling a little bit more to $800,000. And I don't want to have to dig into my pocketbook and overburden many because of a few who recycle more. And I appreciate the fact they recycle more, but I don't think it's worth the cost. I'm not trying to be uncaring or insensitive, but we do provide an added service which is on our city recycling website. It states that we provide a free drop-off container at the DPW yard on Middlesex Street from 8:30 to 4:30, and sometimes even longer when the gate is open. 7 days a week, city residents who have extra recycling that they want to get rid of can avail themselves to this free service. So if they want to really be that considerate and they have a way to go down there, they can certainly drop it off. I also wondered if it would be possible to buy a second cart for those residents who recycle more, and I learned that there is no way to track a second cart. Each cart costs $75. In the long run, it possibly would be cheaper and more cost-effective a measure to allow those with a larger family and more recycling to purchase an extra cart and forget about the every week pickup. However, that has a drawback as well. If there is anything to be learned from this, as this was allowed in other towns and people bought extra carts and used them for storing their Christmas decorations, as was discovered by the water meter readers in that town, this apparently happened on numerous occasions. So all in all, I would say, do not change it, leave it alone. I'd like to know how many people are affected by this burden. I have not received one call on this problem, and I wonder how many of my colleagues have received any calls. I don't support, well, I know it's a possibility. I'd be curious to see what the difference is as the rate we get to pay for this extra trucks, extra men, another $800,000 compared to what the recycling is going to save us. I don't support this motion, sorry.
Thank you, Council. We have Council Belanger, Council Rourke, and Council Leahy. Council Belanger?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I do applaud the intent of Council Rourke's motion, but to educate the council and the public is that, you know, Lowell, as far as gateway cities, Lowell is one of the higher percentage. We have a mid to high 20% recycling rate, and that is an outstanding rate for other gateway cities among the Commonwealth. So we are making great strides in this issue, and I know Council Rourke's intent is to pick that up. But it is difficult. A recycling pickup per week is in excess of $20,000. So we have to look at that math too as well. And do we have that to bear, or do we have to pass that along to the taxpayer? So if we talk about every week, we're talking about a significant amount of money here. But to echo Councilor Mercier's comments, we do have a drop-off facility that is very highly used in the holiday seasons, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. I've had conversations with Gunther Wellenstein about it. And those facilities, that facility is open 24/7, Councilor. We're on Middlesex Street, DPD. It is a 24/7 drop-off facility where you can drop off cardboard, glass, Christmas paper, and whatnot. So that's an extra luxury that we provide for city residents. You know, I like where we're going with this. We're constantly improving, but every week I think would be difficult, with all due respect. But let's get the message out that the recycling facility is there to use 24/7. I know it's difficult to put a Christmas tree in your trunk of your car. I get it. but other can be put in bags and cardboard boxes, where you could put paper in cardboard boxes and just toss the whole thing in the receptacle, and you wash your hands with it. So maybe I should look at encouraging some drop-off for these heavy disposable times. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rourke, then we'll go to Councilor Leahy.
My apologies if I wasn't specific enough. I wasn't asking for a rate increase for anybody or anything. I was just seeing the amount of recycling that the city does partake in now, which, in talking to Mr. Wellenstein, is at an all-time high. And in telling me that the city does get an incredible amount of savings for the amount of recycling that the city does, that the waste management does process. It is a single stream now. And again, nowhere in this motion does it say to increase anything for anybody. It's just asking the manager to explore the possibility of what it would take to increase recycling and/or to add an extra container for pickup. So, thank you.
Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I thought it was a good motion to explore this, because I fill up mine. We have a household of 5, and just yesterday, I got to jump in the thing or put my son in it to pack it down. So if we could send out packers or something, but, yeah, well, sometimes I don't find them for a week. But it's true, and the more we recycle, the more savings we have. So maybe there's some sort of an offset there. But I thought it was worth exploring, and the whole goal is here to get more recycling. So if we're filling up those barrels every other week, good for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on the motion? Councilor Kennedy.
I wasn't going to speak on this motion, but I guess, I think we all understand that a ton of recycling costs the city a lot less than a ton of trash does. So the more we can recycle, the better off we are. But I think many of us who were here when the contract was done realized that the reason that we're doing the recycling every other week is because we had bigger containers instead of the small green containers, and that was supposed to be enough. I think for this to be worthwhile, it would have to be that everybody's recycling bin was so filled up that people were putting into the red bin. And so we instead of paying a ton of recycling, we're creating more trash, because people would be having their recyclables spill over, and we'd just be putting them into the red container. I'm not sure that everybody does that, and it seems to me that maybe if we had it every week, that rather than to have recycling containers that were filled all of the way, we would have recycling containers that were filled halfway for the most part. I think some of us recycle very well, but I think there's a lot of people in the city that don't recycle at all or don't recycle that well. But I do not think that there's anything wrong with at least having the manager take a look at the issue and provide the council with a report. And I think that that's all that the motion asks for. And so for that reason, I would, although I have to agree with the councils that don't think that it's probably financially feasible, I do think that it's worthwhile asking for the report. And so for that reason, I would support the motion. Thank you.
Further discussion, Councilor Martin?
Yeah, I agree with those sentiments exactly. I mean, all we're looking for is a report. Who knows what the break point is? So I think it's worthwhile to at least explore the possibility.
Further discussion? We're going to roll call on this. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Councilor Marcia?
I'm not saying that I'm not looking forward to getting to the report. The report will only verify just what I was speaking about. All in all, I don't support it, but I will respect the maker of the motion and say, I'll get a report. I'd be curious to know that. I'll be curious to know on the previous motion that there's a contract in place, and it specifically states that the driver is not to get out of the vehicle except for a purple bag. It didn't say for a black bag or a green bag, so technically they could refuse that. So, I mean, a contract is a contract. I don't know how you would probably have to amend it. So I'm only trying to be legal here, and I certainly don't want to raise anybody's fees, because more people, I don't know, there may be a way. Maybe I'm looking forward to getting the report, but all in all, I don't support the concept of it. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carrying. Having no further business before us, I just want to take an opportunity to thank the employees who have been decorating not only the City Council chamber, but the entire City Hall. They really have done a wonderful job, magnanimous job. Certainly you can tell in the council chambers tonight. And the public is invited and welcome to Council Mercy. You have something for...
That was what I was going to
Go
say.
ahead,
But
go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
This year, we're doing something a little bit different. The City Hall employees, in conjunction with the mayor and the city manager, are having one big holiday event, Christmas event, and that is Thursday from 2 to 6. The public are certainly welcome. There are choirs, there'll be people singing, there'll be food. So did you want to chime in?
I just wanted to say that in 19 years of coming to this City Hall, I have never seen it transformed into a place of such beauty with all the festivities and the decorations, and everywhere you go, it's just amazing. So I would encourage the public to come down on Thursday, December 4th, from 2 to 6, and see for yourself how beautiful it actually is. We have candles that are lit in here. I feel like this is a winter wonderland, and I have the Christmas spirit. I feel like just running out and getting some eggnog and everything else. But
all right, well, we'll use some eggnog Thursday.
And every department is going
Just
to be
eggnog,
here.
nothing else in there.
If you would allow me to say one more thing that I
Yes.
promised that if I could do it, I would have. I would like to remind my colleagues and the listeners at home that on Saturday, December 13th, is the Salvation Army Radiothon, and that's from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. All proceeds revert back to the community, to all families that face a difficult time and are in need of help. Just because we all have decorations here and we're happy, there are many families that are not happy and face dire straits with trying to provide for their families. Our goal this year is $100,000, and this city has helped many times before, and I'm asking for your help again. I would just like to challenge my colleagues, I hope you're not upset, to $100. Just think if we could do that. There's $900 right there, and I challenge you, Mr. Manager, to $200. That'll be $1,100. I'm telling you, this is a good thing. I know, too much eggnog. How bad is that? Thank you so much for letting me
Thank
say
you.
that.
If I could I just wanted to finish up on the City Hall Christmas party. If you do, the public does come down. The food is free. The atmosphere is free. The entertainment is free. We're just asking if you can either make a donation to the Sun Santa, or there are going to be bins for food for the food pantry. We would appreciate it if you could make a donation to that. So, Mr. Manager, did you want to add anything? I agree with Councilor Mercier. All the offices are decorated. They're going to be a different cuisine in each office and something different. So, to you.
Yes, I mean, I agree with you. The City Hall looks terrific, and I think it's a great opportunity to come down and visit the different offices to meet the residents of the office, but meet the employees. And that we're going to have a choir down here singing holiday songs. It should be a beautiful afternoon, and I encourage everybody to come to City Hall Thursday from 2 to 6 p.m. Thanks.
And the clerk's office has a reindeer display with all of our faces on it as reindeers. I hope you want to see that.
We're going to see it. Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. This meeting stands adjourned. Good job. Good.